guess we don't need the AP poll to confirm this, but you guys obviously have a very hard schedule again this year.
Yeah.
What do you like about playing tough competition early on?
Well, I need to talk to Dwayne because he kind of sets our schedule. Of course, Dwayne's been with me now for 8 years, so he knows how I like the schedules, but I like giving him a hard time because then when you start diving into, everybody knows the Kentuckys and the Carolinas, and when you start diving into Pepperdine, all 5 starters back, Cal Poly, 4 starters back, Monmouth has a transfer sitting out, and very, very good team. So you start diving into that, and it's like, okay, Dwayne, but you do. I think that really helped us last year. I think it didn't help us early, obviously, but because we were so young and inexperienced, but that helped us late in the season. This year, a little bit more experience will be back, and these young guys will get kind of indoctrinated to what this level's all about very quickly, and I think that's a good thing. And we want to be a part of the, we're part of the, obviously, the Maui tournament, but we're also a part of that Champions tournament, or on a 3-year period here, we're getting Kentucky, Carolina, and Ohio State. Those are good exempt games to be in because you get a good measuring stick of where you're at. You hope you're healthy when you're getting that measuring stick, but it gives you a lot to work on over the break and stuff, good or bad, in preparation for league play. And league play is going to be up, so we're going to have a demanding schedule 1 through 30 this season.
Is there like a biggest unknown or anything that you want to answer in the early season?
The unknowns right now are really trying to figure out from a coaching standpoint it's our first year with versatility, and we don't have all the pieces together because of the injuries. Prince was back yesterday, and he looked really good, so I think we're starting to get a little bit back full strength. But with Gigi out, Alex has been tremendous. Jonah's getting better and better every day. He's getting accustomed to stuff. It's finding those combinations of what works best. And we got another scrimmage coming up on Saturday, so we'll get a chance to get another feel there before we get going. But we're only down about 6 more practices before we get going. And then once we start, there's a lot of games. And so it is going to be trial and error a little bit just to see what combinations are working, because I love our length. I love our versatility. We are a long team. We got great size. So playing 3 bigs across the front, but maybe 1 or 2 of those bigs can also be a guard, versus like we started the other night where you've got Isaac and Bryce and Aaron, and you're basically almost 3-point guards, and you're flying around everywhere and very athletic in the backcourt. So and now you add Prince to that mix. So there's just some versatility that from a coaching standpoint we're trying to figure out. I love where we're at. We've got a lot of stuff in. Now it's just a matter of really working offensively and defensively, and those combinations of what it's all new. Jonah, we can post him, but we can pick and pop him. Kavan was different that way. Norman, big-time driver. Now we've really got 3 guards on the perimeter that can drive and kick for everybody, and all 3 of them can extend and shoot the 3. So figuring out what's best of trying to put those players in the best positions to be successful.
What did watching film of the exhibition game tell you about your rotation that you didn't know before?
The one thing I liked was, one, we took care of the ball. We've been struggling with that because I do think we're a really good pass-catch team, and it hadn't been showing up in practice. And I think a lot of that's because guys are not as familiar with what we're doing, and they're getting used to it. But the big thing was rebounding. Obviously, when you lose Kavan, that was going to be a concern. But our size really showed up in that game, and it showed up in the backboard. And we started big for the first time. That's not something that is just etched in stone. Doesn't mean we're going to start big every game, but it is something we want to look at. And I think it was 25-9, if I remember right, in those 2 4-minute games. So to start both halves, we were big, and we went 25-9. That's big because we're playing an undersized team, and we're going big could hurt you is when you're playing an undersized team that now all of a sudden they're playing a 4-man that's really a guard, and small ball beats you. By going big in that game, we were able to beat small ball, and that was encouraging, because if you're going to go big, you got to be ready to beat small ball and play against it.
When you go with those 2 bigs, how does that change things for you defensively?
We obviously, like last year, if we wanted to do that, it was straight zone. This year, we've really been working hard with Tom and Tony to be able to, and they got to prove themselves that way anyway, to be able to go out and guard defensively. And then really talk about the help. We've got 3 pretty quick guards in there, in Bryce and Isaac and Aaron for the most part. Now, again, adding Prince, we're going to have some athletes around them when we are big, that where we can help. If we need to instead of doubling the post, maybe it's sending somebody to help on the perimeter if we've got to go after somebody on the perimeter. How we defend pick and rolls. I think the bigs have gotten a lot better over the summer of defending pick and rolls out on the perimeter, where that pick and pop stretch 4 guy that's probably a guard doesn't hurt us as much, and really concentrating on those rotations. But if we can do that and play man and zone, now we can really hurt you at the other end, because those 3 guards can create a lot, and those bigs, you can go inside out, one high, one low, and do a lot of damage.
What has Isaac's progression been like over the offseason?
He works extremely hard. He's like a lot of our guys, but he works extremely hard, and what he's done, and I hope it ends up going into gameplay, he has really shot the ball. I mean, he's shooting it at a high level. The 3 ball, the in-between game, the free throw, the finish game, he's really shooting it and scoring it. And we saw a little bit of that at the end of last year, and I think that propelled us into a whole different team. And now I think we're going to have that backcourt, that we don't have that 4-year guy in Norman, obviously, because we had an awful lot of experience with Norman, and Norman was different than these guys. But these guys, including, as I mentioned, Prince, can all shoot it, drive it, create for one another, create for self, and they're all good passers. And Isaac's really worked on that part of it. So I think he's going to be a really good scorer. I think his development, what we've got to see going from year 1 to year 2, is his ability to decision make and make the right plays off the bounce. And in the exhibition game, he did that. He had 4 assists, 1 turnover, and he was able to score the ball as well. And that's what we need to see out of him.
How much of that decision making was confidence? It seemed like last year he would kind of go through different lulls, and when he had confidence, he would play really well,
Yeah.
and sometimes he wouldn't. How does he manage that?
Well, we forget that he sat out almost a year and a half, and now Jonah's in that same deal, and Jonah's got even an injury on top of that. So hopefully Isaac can help Jonah. This is a close team, and we need Isaac to reach out to Jonah and help him, because Jonah's kind of going through those same things right now. And when you sit out a year and a half, and then all of a sudden you're thrown into UCLA practices, that's not easy. And going against the people you got to go against, and then the schedule we play. And for Isaac, we needed him to play, 32, 33 plus minutes last year. Jonah, I think we can work, he's going to play a lot of minutes, but it's not the pressure that Isaac had last year of performing at a high level with a high level of minutes as well. So he developed nicely. Hopefully Jonah can develop even quicker because he's got a little bit more help.
This season, there's the new 30-second shot clock in college basketball. Do you foresee that having any sort of impact? And what kind
I think you're going to see a lot of, I do think, especially out of free throws, you're going to see a lot of pressing. Soft presses back to a zone, soft presses back to some trapping, soft presses back to man. Could see more change of defenses by a lot of teams, just to see how teams react to that shot clock. We saw it in our, which I don't think necessarily speeds the game up, but I think you'll see coaches messing with the opponent just to see if they know how to go against the zone, and really go against the zone inside 18 seconds. If you do your job in a press, by the time they break the press and then get everybody where they want in the zone, you're dealing inside 20 seconds to run zone offense. And that can get tricky at times if you're not a good zone offense team. So I do think you could see some of that. I think the change is more off free throws and timeouts than maybe live play.
Does that make this a good time to have Aaron Holiday coming in? And being
Yeah,
able to do that?
Aaron just gives us something we haven't had in my 3 years now. Somebody that can change the tempo defensively, because he can pick up 94 feet. And the thing we were learning about Aaron, I haven't said a word to him. He didn't get here and I say, hey, Aaron, go pick that guy up 94. He does it naturally, and he does it the whole time. Now he's got to be smart and careful. He got in foul trouble a little bit in the exhibition game. It's got to be smart play. But I think we can do some things off of Aaron's pressure that we haven't been able to do, and that hopefully will help us.
You mentioned
is that
teams will
normal?
press more. If that's the case, do you think it'll actually increase scoring or do anything in terms of that?
Well, I don't know how. There's a difference. If it's an aggressive press, to where you're trying to generate quick turnovers, that's one way of speeding it up. I'm not so sure that's going to be the mindset of a lot of coaches versus the soft presses to just kind of play with you, and you're eating clock up, and you're really pressing to mess with that shorter clock that you have. If that's the case, then no, I don't think that speeds it up. I think it slows it down more than it speeds it up. If you're an aggressive press team, then you might get more possessions. But the other thing actually will slow it down early and see is going to be free throw line. There are going to be a lot of free throws. We were in a bonus in the exhibition game in the second half at the 15-minute mark. So when you've got 15 minutes left of foul shooting, that's going to take some time, to do. So, but I think that's going to be pivotal from a coaching standpoint and what we want to do as a team. We got to win that foul line. I mean, that's going to be pivotal for us to win because they're going to call it a certain way and hands off. They want freedom of movement, which I think is great for our game. But there'll be a learning curve in that as well, and some growing pains with it. And we got to make sure we're on the good end of the growing pains.
You mentioned Aaron kind of picking up guys full court from day one. How rare is that for a freshman to have either the confidence or the
Extremely rare, especially for somebody that doesn't. He's waiting on the coach to tell him that.
Yeah.
He just comes in and does it, and but he has an incredible motor. And we always talk about in recruiting. That's one of the things we like to see in players, whether they're guards, forwards, bigs. Do you have a motor? Can you play 94-50 and do it consistently for 40 minutes? And you saw him in the exhibition game. That's watching us every day in practice. I mean, he just, and now that we've put him on the blue squad and we've got him in the starting lineup right now, that means we got Gerald, who's a walk-on, who it was hardly in anything last year. And now he's trying to bring the ball up against Holiday every possession. So it was funny. Yesterday I saw Gerald after practice, and he's got ice on both knees. And I'm like, you didn't ice one time last year, and now you're icing up every time. So, but it's good. It's making us better. It's going to make Aaron better. It's going to make all of our guards better. But then it does help. It does help guys like Isaac and Bryce. I mean, there was so much pressure on them in the minutes that they had to play that you don't pace yourself. But when you're playing 36, 38 minutes, you do have to learn where you can kind of rest a little bit, even in line play. And I don't think we'll have as much as that this year because we can get some rest now.
Was your instinct as